What's up, YouTube? Coming at you with another video. This particular video is going to be on how to wax your bicycle chain. And the reason I've decided to do this video is because I believe that the videos on YouTube, some of them are a little misinformative, and I want to clear up some things on how to do this effectively, quickly, and easily. And I'll kind of walk you through, but this whole process should only take you about 10 minutes. I know some of the videos on there make it look a lot longer, and the overall length of this video might be longer than 10 minutes because I'm going to walk you through the steps and show you why I do particular things. So starting off with the already dirty chain, this chain has been waxed before, but we're going to go ahead and clean it. Now there's two ways to clean it. One, you can just paraffin wax this with the dirt already on there, and the paraffin wax is going to melt off, and you'll get, for the most part, a clean coat on the outside. What it doesn't do is really get in between those rollers, and the rollers are where you're going to get the wear on the chain, because as the little bits of metal and stuff come on the rollers, your chain ends up stretching. And so when people check your chain with a chain tension tool and your chain is stretched, that'll show you that you've worn it out. So how to get in between the rollers. So what I've done is I've gotten on eBay, and I'm sure you can probably get this on Amazon, are these little ultrasonic baths. They're great. This one has a built-in heater, which I find that I don't use very much, just because the ultrasound itself actually will heat the liquid just from, you know, the ultrasound friction in there. So I'll get one of these baths, and one thing you're going to need is you're going to need some sort of solvent to dissolve whatever lubricants you have on there. Most of the good high-end lubricants on the market are going to be wax-based, say like the Rock and Roll Gold. That's one of the top ones out there, and that is a wax-based lubricant. So how to strip this and what I use is I use mineral spirits. And so I'm going to go ahead and pour some mineral spirits in here. And you don't need a lot. If you lay your chain in here perfectly flat, you just need enough liquid in here to completely cover the chain. All right, so I've got my mineral spirits poured in here, and you'll see I haven't gotten much more than just covering the tops of this. You don't want to use more than this just because you're wasting your solvent. And when you're done, you can put this in a jar and the solids will settle out to the bottom, so you can keep reusing this for a while. But this is where the magic really happens. If I were just to take this chain and put it in a jar with mineral spirits and swish it around, I would get a certain amount of dirt off, but it's really not digging deep in between those rollers. And so I'm going to flip this on, and I'm going to set my timer for about 5 minutes. And here's where the fun happens. And you can see all of that dirt and grease and grit and grime and metal bits coming out from between the rollers. So we're going to let this run for 5 minutes, and we'll come right back. So we're back here, and our 5 minutes is up. And you can see it's pretty dirty. But this is going to have gotten it all out from the rollers. Now I'm going to go ahead and lift this out and put it on a paper plate, and then I'm going to run a magnet on the bottom, and you can just see all the little bits of metal that have come out. All right, got my little trusty magnet here. If you can see all that stuff that's on the bottom, that's supposed to be shiny. See if I can get in a better light here. Yeah. All of that is all metal. There's metal filings from the rollers themselves. And that's all causing your chain to wear out if you don't clean them out every time. All right, so I've got my chain pulled off and it's still got solvent on it. So what I'm going to do next is just take it over to the sink and I'm just going to scrub this down with some just plain old dish soap and water and then just dry it off, and then we'll go to step 3. All right, so we've got my cleaned and dried chain, and I took it outside and just swung it around a couple times to get any leftover water between the rollers, paper towel it dry. And now I've gone ahead and laid it in a very small saucepan. So the important thing is you want to put this in your pan and lay it perfectly flat like we did in the mineral spirit solvent. So get this in here perfectly flat. Don't put your wax in yet until you've laid it in there. And then I want you to get your paraffin wax. So the wax that I'm using is Gulf wax. You can get it at Walmart or most grocery stores, and it's used for canning. This stuff is food safe, so you can tell your wife if you're using wax in one of her things that it's okay to use for food because it wipes right out. It's easily cleaned out in the dishwasher or just some hot water. So you're perfectly fine there. It comes in blocks like this. Do not use the whole block because you're just wasting it. Cut off a small piece about this size, because if you lay your chain flat, this will be perfectly enough to cover your chain and get all the rollers and everything covered, and then you're not wasting the wax, because I try not to reuse my wax. The wax is cheap enough. You cut off enough small pieces and it works just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and stand that up in the center, and I'm going to use this on the stove. Now this is the part where a lot of people will be misinformed, I think, on the internet. They say use a crock pot or a double boiler, or don't want to overheat your wax because it'll just catch on fire and explode and do bad things. That is absolutely not true. This is the same stuff you use in candles. Last time, I don't know if anybody's seen a candle explode. It doesn't happen. Yes, paraffin wax is flammable, but it is not combustible. It means you will have it on the stove. It will not turn into a big ball of fire if it comes in contact with the flame. It will burn, but it will not turn into a big ball of fire. And to demonstrate, and this is purely for demonstration, I will get a blowtorch, put that directly on the wax, and I don't have a big ball of fire. Now it will smoke when it's overheated, but it will not turn into a big flame. If any of you have ever melted candles as a kid, same concept. So I'm going to watch this from start to finish. I'm going to turn my burner on all the way, and this should just take only a few seconds or a few minutes to heat up. And I'm standing here watching this, and so this will melt. Once it's completely melted, just go ahead and turn your burner off. It's going to retain the heat and it's going to be perfectly fine. So we're going to stand here and watch this, just so I can show you how long this actually takes. I leave this little spot in the middle. If it falls off, just stand it back up. And that helps it melt, and it's already starting to melt. If you were to do this in a crock pot or say a paraffin wax bath, this is going to take you quite a long time to melt your wax. This way it only takes a couple minutes. Now you want to try to get your chain as dry as you can, because the water in here sometimes makes it sputter. It's not the end of the world, but just to kind of keep you from getting some splatters. And just like you would some popcorn. And so I'm going to turn my flame down just a little bit. You can see it's starting to get a little warm. Now, if you feel more comfortable doing this outside in a electric skillet, by all means do that. And this popping you're seeing there is there's a little bit of water still left in the chain. So I can go ahead and turn it off now because that wax is almost completely melted. It's hot enough that that will continue to melt. And now I'm just going to kind of oscillate this back and forth, move it, and moving this will get this in between the rollers. And you can see the color of wax, so there's a little bit of dirt still left in there. Now, if you want to be ultra uber OCD about this, you could even melt wax and pour it in the ultrasound machine because it's got a heater on it, and then you can ultrasound the wax actually in the chain. I've done it a few times if I'm going to do a race or a really long ride, or I just want a super clean chain for the ride. But most of the time, this is the process that I use, and I find that it works very effectively. Coats your chain great. And it's quick. So now we're going to go ahead and pull it out, and we're going to hang it up on a hook and let it dry. So we just pulled our chain out, and I got it on a coat hanger that's been sharpened into a little hook, and we're just letting it hang for a few minutes. And my leftover wax, I'm just going to guard it in a little Tupperware. And then I just take some paper towels and wipe that out. So as my chain is drying, it's going to be cooling off, and it's still fairly warm. If you've got hollow pins on your chain, what I like to do is just kind of smack it against a piece of cardboard, and that knocks some of the wax out of the pins, just so you're not carrying about an extra wax. But the last step, and this is not completely necessary, I use a non-stick dry lubricant. It's a Teflon, and this is cold. It helps cool the chain. It also puts a Teflon coating on the outside. Don't know if it makes it faster, but I know Ceramic Speed and a couple other companies actually make paraffin wax with Teflon in it. So I think it's probably making it just as fast as the top fast chain lubricants on the market. And I just let this dry on my chain. And it'll kind of be a powdery white color when it's dried. And that's it, folks. Just let it dry and throw it back on your bike. Completely waxed, completely cleaned, dry chain that will last you much longer. And people say the paraffin wears off in the rain. Paraffin's not water soluble, people. Now, because it's cold outside, it does cause it to flake off more. But wax does not dissolve in water. It has to be dissolved with a solvent. So other chain lubes like the Rock and Roll, it's paraffin based. Now, if you want to soften your wax and make it not dry and flaky, you can add a little bit of mineral oil. And the more mineral oil you add to it, the softer your wax will remain. Now, that being said, if you add more mineral oil to it, it will actually make your wax slightly tacky, which then will attract more dirt and grime from the road. Now, you can add just a little bit and it shouldn't affect it too much. But just the plain paraffin with the Teflon coating here, you'll have virtually no grime and dirt buildup, and you can run your hands off. Now you'll get little bits of black stuff, but that'll just be the wax itself that's collected some stuff, and then it just will brush right off your hands. You'll have the fastest type of lubricant on the market and I think you'll really appreciate how quiet and fast your chain runs. If you have any comments or questions, please leave this in the comments below and hit the like or subscribe button. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.